Hello everyone, it is time to play Maneater, a game where you are a shark, and we're playing Maneater because I had interest in Maneater, and the reason I had interest in Maneater is because I saw a lot of critics complain about the combat system. So of course I had to see for myself, given this is an action RPG, how the combat system turned out. Now granted, I am extremely early in the game, but I would say it turned out pretty good. We're going to talk about the nuances of the combat right as we fight this alligator. So, we move around underwater, we have a dodge, we have a bite, which is our primary attack, and the goal is to attack the enemies when they have openings, of course. They're usually open right after we dodge one of their attacks, and they take the most damage while they're glowing. We can still attack them when they're not glowing, but we have to be careful, because even though there are small openings where they don't glow, they're going to attack back, usually by tail whipping us to knock us away, or worse, biting us. Tail whip is preferable, but we don't want to get hit at all. We also want to have acute awareness of our spacing. Like, there's a certain range at which alligators are most likely to attack us, and we want to keep that in mind. Alligators also have two attacks, one where they lunge from a long distance, and one where they bite from a short distance. This is the lunge from long distance attack, and after we dodge that one, they're almost always vulnerable. You can see there, we just destroyed an alligator twice our level quite easily because of our understanding of the combat mechanics, and we'll talk about more of those mechanics and what they mean when I go to fight an alligator that's over 3 times my level. Now we are approaching a big boy alligator, a level 15 big boy alligator, and because it's much larger, we have to pay much more attention to spacing. It will attack us much sooner than the other alligator. It's much faster, swims much more violently, lunges farther. Just in general, it can do the same things as the level 8 alligator, just more, just bigger, better, scarier. And there's a lot going on here to keep track of that might not be apparently obvious. Like, it might just look to you like I'm dodging and attacking when it's open, but there's a lot of mechanics to keep track of. Like, yeah, there's the dodge mechanic, but we want to keep the camera centered on our opponent at all times, because there is no real lock-on function in this game. We can tap in the right stick to briefly center the camera on whatever threat is nearest, but it doesn't stay centered on them. There's not like a lock-on function, so keeping the camera located in a position where you can watch over your opponents at all times is essential. There's no like strafing lock-on functionality, and I think the reason there's not a traditional lock-on is because of the desire to keep the combat challenging. You'll excuse me, I'm watching the movements rather carefully. I feel like having traditional lock-on and strafing mechanics, while probably what most people expected, would greatly decrease the challenge and remove the feeling of playing as a shark. The hit-and-run tactics you currently have to employ just feel a lot more genuine to me. And let's see if we can't go over a few more nuances I have to keep track of in the mechanics right now. So, I mentioned when fighting the other alligator that sometimes it's vulnerable even when it's not glowing. That's true with this bigger one too, but the opening for vulnerability is much, much smaller. It pursues you much faster if it's not glowing. If it's glowing, it's basically dazed and you can attack it. It has like a 2 to 3 second opening to be attacked, but if you attack it when it's not glowing, it will retaliate almost immediately. And it won't retaliate just once. It's not afraid to chain bite you. So, attacking when this one is glowing is so much safer. As you're seeing, we didn't wait until it was glowing to attack, and we paid the price for it. This one lunges so much faster, so much farther, so much more aggressively. And for the matter of vulnerabilities, when it is glowing and vulnerable to be attacked, you have to really chase down that opening. Because of how fast it lunges and how far it lunges, even if the attack misses you, you have to rush to get to it while it's vulnerable. Otherwise it'll recover before you can even get there. It's not easy, and you're definitely supposed to be a higher level when you fight these things, but I wanted to demonstrate that the combat works well enough that it's not necessary. If the combat's like this throughout the whole game, it should be entirely possible to beat anything at any level, even if it will be difficult. This is extremely tense and terrifying, by the way. I have tried this fight many times, and although I'm getting a lot better at the mechanics, a lot better at at knowing when to dodge, at understanding the spacing between me and the enemy, when to run away, when to dive. There's a dive function. You don't want to get too close to the surface of the water, because if you're on the surface of the water, you can't really attack anything, and you're very vulnerable there, so you want to stay close to the bottom of the water. I'm terrified. Oh, it looks like there's only one hit left, so let's just, if we can sneak in there, and that feels good. That you're definitely supposed to be a higher level before you take this thing on, but we did it. We didn't have to grind and level up to beat that guy. We beat that guy with our understanding of the game mechanics, and I think the combat in this game kind of rocks.